Matt Davis, man of the Dwellty Ministry area, and I'm talking about courage. For Jesus Christ, I am prepared to suffer more still, said Maximilian Kolbe, and his imprisonment by the Nazis in Germany. He was a Polish Catholic priest and Franciscan friar, and he's remembered particularly for selflessly volunteering to die in the place of another man who was sentenced to death. His Christian faith guided him to do so. That's courage. Courage on a big scale. An enduring example of courage in the face of an unimaginable evil. I pray that we never be made to test our faith in that position, or that humanity would ever sink that low. But here in Monmouth Diocese, such extreme tests of faith are unlikely to occur, thankfully. The thing is about speaking on courage is that actually we can find some wonderful examples of courage, but may be a bit distant to where we are, such as in the Bible. Joshua, God says to him, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Fantastic. But what's Joshua about to do? He's about to march into the promised land and go to war. We're not. In Kings, after Elijah's victory over the prophets of Baal, he's faced with the threat of death from Queen Jezebel. Last time I checked, our monarchs are not out to get us because we've killed all their prophets. Or in Daniel, in the edict to only pray to King Darius, he's thrown into the lion's den and God provides him with the courage to still pray and to still cling to his God. And is rewarded by the families of those who threw him in the lion's den being all eaten up as well. That doesn't happen today either. Or in Acts, or maybe more close to us, with Peter and John being forced to confront the religious leaders, and they say, which is right in God's eyes, to listen to God or to you? You be the judges. Again, unlikely. But big acts of courage, ones we can look into. And these acts of courage are ones we may need and see from our Christian brothers and sisters around the world, but here, maybe not. I think what God may ask us to do in courage in Monmouth Diocese may look a bit different. I think we may be asked to have courage to resist the easy route. Love calls us to grow, even when it's uncomfortable. Like we see in the parable of the talents, God asks us to risk what we've been given, trusting that love will empower us to step out in faith and grow in courage. We may need courage to support another church in our ministry area, where generosity goes beyond our own needs. As Paul reminds us in Corinthians, we are a body which should not be divided, but be concerned for our mutual growth and support. Courageous generosity looks outward, offering help to others in our shared mission as God's people. We may need courage to try something new, even when we love what we have. It takes courage to leave behind what we know, just as the apostles demonstrated when they left their nets, their livelihoods, and their families to follow Jesus. So God may call us out of our comfort zones to step into the unknown. We may need courage to build others up and not criticize. Humility shines in how we use our words. As it says in Ephesians 4 and urges us, we should speak to build others up even when it's easier to critique. Courage means uplifting others with kindness, even in difficult times. We need courage to speak our faith into familiar communities. We should have joy in the gospel we have and be compelled to share it too, even when it's challenging. We should not be afraid or ashamed of the gospel, because it's the power of God for salvation to those who hear it. Courageous joy allows us to share our faith despite fears of rejection. We should have courage to speak justice and truth. Integrity demands we stand up for what is right, even when it's unpopular. As we can probably quote off by heart, Micah, to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God. Courage enables us to uphold truth in a world it so often resists. Courage to not be defensive when challenged. True humility shows when we respond with grace, not defensiveness. We must give an answer to the hope we have with gentleness and respect. Courage in humility reflects Christ's example to us. And we should have courage to follow God's call wherever it leads. Abraham's journey of faith reminds us that God's love was with him and with us as we step out, even when the destination is unclear. Courage compels us to follow wherever God leads, knowing his plans are far greater than our own. All of these things are not life and death situations like Maximilian or the people we find in our Bible readings, but they are significant because they bring the life of Jesus into a world, our world, where it is needed. Each small act of courage brings unity, healing, and a light into the world that often leans towards division and hatred. C.S. Lewis said, "Courage is not simply one of the virtues, but the form of every virtue at its testing point." It's easy to say to love God and to love others, to live in values, but it takes courage to follow through with that. Actually, out of all our values, I believe that this is probably the most important, because we need courage to live them out unashamedly and firmly. We can achieve nothing without it because it takes courage to change, to see new things happen, and to follow God where he may call you. So I wonder whether we can reflect on where God calls us to step out in courage today, whether it's in our faith, the ministry God has given us to exercise, or our own relationships. What does God ask of you? How can you be a light into the world through acts of bravery, big or small? I'll leave you with this from St. Ignatius of Loyola. God's love calls us to move beyond fear. We ask God for the courage to abandon ourselves unreservedly, so that we might be molded by God's grace, even as we cannot see where the path may lead us. Thank you.